Hi, I'm John Cox, and this is City Beat Live, the best in news entertainment. This week, our very own Tricia Nankal sat down for a chat with actor and singer Paul Elia.
So our next guest may look really familiar to you. You've seen him on Mixology, Mistresses, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. His name is Paul Elia. He's a talented actor, comedian. Welcome.
Thank you. I look familiar.
So how did you get into acting?
Well, I was supposed to be in law school, and I started doing small productions, like a lot of short films and student films, and then I had 2 classes to take to graduate. I had an English class, I had an Arabic class and a math class. And I joined an extras agency because at the time, this is in 2010, they were shooting a lot of films in Detroit and a lot of television shows, and one of the shows was called Detroit 187. And I was asked to be a stand-in for Michael Imperioli.
Okay.
Yeah, from The Sopranos and Goodfellas. He's all over television.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of look like, don't we?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
I don't know why I made that face, but I did, I guess so. So I told my parents that I'm going to take a semester off and work as a stand-in. And they weren't happy, but I did it anyway, and it just changed my life. I learned everything about acting from being on set. And Michael Imperioli, he was a really good man. Like he'd do a scene, and I would go up to him after the scene and say, hey, I noticed you did this and you did this. Why'd you do this? And he goes, well, Paul, the reason why I did this is because, I'm investigating a crime. It was a cop show. He was playing a detective. He goes, I'm walking into the scene. I'm looking to see if there's anyone I can question over here. There's windows over here. There's this over here. And he's telling me all these things that he does to get ready for the scene. And just from watching him, I learned a lot. And he was very helpful. And he didn't have to tell me anything. He could have just said, hey, man, you're my stand-in, get away from me, But he was very helpful. Him, James McDaniel, Sean Majumder, a lot of really good actors on that show, Aisha Hines, and they all really took time to help me. So when the show was over, it was go back to school. And I didn't want to do that, so.
Tell us about your latest project, Dirty.
Dirty's a feature film that I produced and starred in with Roger Guinevere-Smith, Alexander Paul, Tony Dennison, Jason Stewart, Chaz Bono. It was directed by my friend Dan Ringy. We're very excited about it. It's currently in post-production, and we're submitting to some festivals. And it's about 2 dirty police officers who try to get away with stealing $2 million of drugs and money.
I see. What was it like? How did you get Chaz Bono on with you guys?
Well, how we got Chaz was, there was a role, it was a hoarder role, and it was a very character-y role. And at first, Dan, the director, and I, we wanted Kane Hodder to do the part. And he's in a bunch of horror movies. I don't know if, you probably recognize him, you see him. He was in Jason X. He's the guy that played Jason.
Okay.
Yeah, so he wore a mask in most of his movies, but he's a very, very good actor, and I worked with him before, so we wanted him to do it, and then he couldn't do it, and then we had to find someone to play it. So a friend of mine named Rick Ferrari, he said, you should let Chaz audition for it. He's willing to audition. So Chaz came in and auditioned, and it was... we auditioned a couple characters that day, and he was the best actor that came in. Like, even the other characters, the other people that came in weren't as talented as he was. So, we gave him the part, and he does a phenomenal job.
Fantastic.
He's killing it. He's killing it. I'm telling you, he's killing it.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Where did you guys come up with the concept for Dirty?
Well, I received the script 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I was in, I believe it was near Oregon where I was shooting a film. Crescent City, California, actually. It's about 30 miles away from Portland.
Okay.
And while I was there, the assistant director, his name is Dan Ringy, he was the director of Dirty, me and him became friends. And he sent me the script and said, hey man, my friend wrote the script, his name is Benjamin Alexander. And they both worked valet together in Long Beach. So Dan sent me the script and said, hey, there's this detective, you should look at this role. And I looked at the role, and I I was like, I'm going to play this part. And so I called Dan and said, Dan, I want to play this part. He goes, all right, cool, man. We need about $200,000 now. So once you get that, you can do whatever you want. So the way we raised money was a interesting process. We shot a trailer, a mock trailer. And this is before Roger Guinevere Smith or Chaz Bono or Alexander Paul or any of them were in the picture. And also Adrian Gaeta stars in Dirty. He's a phenomenal actor, really good actor. And before Adrian came into the picture. And we shot the trailer. We put on Indiegogo. We got maybe $8,000. We got, and it wasn't enough, obviously. So the director was doing AD jobs. Any money he had, he put into the account. I was doing stand-up. Any money that I made from stand-up, I put into the account. I was doing shows in Chicago, and wherever I could, and all the money I had, I put into the account. And then eventually the writer's dad came through and gave us some financing. And then a couple other people that the writer's dad knew financed the film. And we made it happen.
We're going to take a break and take a look at the teaser for Dirty.
Why don't you tell me why you became a police officer?
A lot of bad people out there.
And what people like you don't understand is just because you get your hands dirty, that doesn't always make you dirty.
Tell me where to get money.
Got a live witness. He saw
No
us.
one is above the law.
I'm not gonna go to prison. You know what they do to cops in prison?
Got another idea of how to get some money like
A guy?
I knew this whole bloodbath idea of yours was bad.
So they gonna blackmail. Hello, detectives.
Believe me, I steal shit from you.
It's almost like you think we're the bad guys.
So how did you prepare for this role in Dirty?
Well, when I was working in Detroit as a stand-in, Michael Imperioli's character was Detective Fitch, Detective Louis Fitch, and it was a cop show. And I really understood the detective state of mind and the detective objectives. So when I saw this role as a detective, I pulled a lot of what I learned from Detroit and put it into this character. And and it's funny how things lead to one another. Like I was a stand-in in Detroit, and I had no idea that I'd ever have to play a cop one day, and I pulled all this information that I got from being a stand-in. And also as a stand-in, they let me say the lines. I'd act the lines. I wouldn't just stand in, and it was a performance. So when I looked at the character of Detective Jackson, I saw a lot of Detective Fitch in that character. And I was doing police ride-alongs.
Really?
Yeah, I did a bunch of those. I was watching interrogation tactics. I read the police manual. I went to a firing range. I wanted to know what it was like to hold the weight of a gun. I wanted to know what it was like to patrol the streets. So when I was doing ride-alongs, I'd actually walk with detectives, and police officers would just patrol the streets. And I learned all the police codes. I never used any of them, but just the fact that I knew them did really help me in a strange way. So and that's another thing I tell young actors. Well, I'm a young actor, I act like I'm like 78. Like that's what I tell young actors. Get some water. No, but really understand the character, and like that was fun to me. It was fun learning the police codes. It was fun going into a squad car and asking questions like, "What does this do? What does this button do? What does this button do?" So so that's how I prepared. I prepared very mechanically for this character, and emotionally, a lot of the stuff that I learned from Detroit, that's what I used. In the film, there are the two main detectives are narcotics detectives, and they work in narcotics. And I was speaking to a narcotics detective, and he was, after I do the ride-along, I'd go across the street to the narcotics headquarters and just pick his brain and ask him questions. And I was like, so why are you a narcotics detective? Why narcotics? And he's like, because it's fun.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was like, that was the last answer I was expecting, and it made me learn a lot about my character. So I made sure in every scene what I was doing was fun.
Okay.
I find a fun activity for my character to do. Even though we're chasing after a certain suspect, I would try to find joy in doing that. You know, whether it's dry cleaning my jacket the day before set and just walking around in a clean jacket because I'm like, oh, look at this clean jacket. Or like very, very minuscule things that did a lot for me actually in the scenes.
Was there, as far when you were writing along, did anything happen that you can talk about? The reason why I'm asking, I've done ride-alongs before.
Oh, you have?
I ended up in court, like seriously.
You went in court? Girl, what did you do?
I witnessed something. So,
Oh, you witnessed something?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. So.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yes, it was. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Did anything happen to you? I mean, I was.
All right,
It's not my interview. It's yours. Let's
No,
go.
no. The police ride along that I did was were really boring.
Really?
They were very boring. Like this guy was a sergeant, and he was like, "All right, cool. So you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And he goes, "All right, cool." So he picked me up.
Yeah.
And we went to the car, and then he goes, "All right, so we're gonna wash the car first." So we went to a car wash. We washed his car. Then afterwards, he goes, "All right, man, I'm kind of exhausted. You want some coffee?"
Oh my god.
So then we go get some coffee.
And donuts?
No, just coffee. And then as we got a coffee, like 3 other police officers pull up to the scene with their ceiling missing. You know what I mean? Like they pulled up, all 3 of them into the coffee shop, and they're all drinking coffee. But they all rolled together. So you would think that, oh my God, there's like a drug bust going on.
Right.
But they're all drinking coffee, and they're like, yeah, man, I mean, Carol, like, dude, she's really hot though, right? And like drinking coffee.
Wow.
You know? And so I'm like, cool. So after that, he was like, all right, cool. So we got an assignment. And so we went to a hotel, and the assignment was in the parking garage, one of the arms landed on a car.
Yeah.
And the police officer didn't write down the proper statement. So we had to go there to write down the statement. That was like the police work. And then he was like, yeah, man, it's intense, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, man, this is crazy. Man, this is insane, man. This is like Baghdad, you know?
See, it's definitely different in Miami, so.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. It's like, do you know this person? No? All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, but one thing he did do was like, it was like the couple of days it was really boring and we were just doing basic stuff. But we were driving, then he slammed the brakes. And he goes, where are we? And I was like, he goes, what way are we driving? And I didn't have an answer. And he goes, you always want to know what direction you're going, what street you're leading to. You always want to know where you are exactly. And he goes, no matter what happens. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's funny because it's like all these like mundane things we were doing, like getting coffee and cleaning his car. And like something came out of that. And like when he did that stop thing, it really threw me off and made me really learn. So I'm like, maybe he did all this stuff just for that. But he obviously didn't because he just met me.
Right.
It's not like he cared about me that much, you know? He goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show him the most boring day and then randomly slam my brakes and be like, hey, where we at, man? I work at a nightclub. Work at a nightclub. A lot of Middle Eastern dudes at this nightclub. And they all smoke cigarettes indoors. Like they just... So this dude was smoking a cigarette indoors, and my boss is like, yo, Paul, you're Middle Eastern. Tell the dude to put out the cigarette. Like he thought we had a connection and we'd make out or something. I don't know. He's just... But the thing about Middle Eastern people, they use their language barrier to get themselves out of problems. They do it all the time. So I go up to the dude smoking a cigarette. I'm like, hey, man, you can't smoke cigarettes in the club. The guy's like, yes, cigarette. I'm like, no, sir, you can't smoke cigarettes in the club. It's illegal. You gotta smoke outside. Yes, outside. Yes, smoke. Yes, it's a nice club, isn't it? I'm like, no, sir, I know the ambience is great, but you can't smoke cigarettes in here. You have to actually put it out and go outside. Oh, you want a cigarette? Hey, give him a cigarette. But by the time we're done having a conversation, he smoked his cigarette, you know, so he got over on me. A Middle Eastern dude would be the worst person behind the counter to rob a bank from, because he just used that, you know what I mean? A dude will walk into a bank like, all right, if you move, you die. Hey, man, give me all your money. Dude's like, yes, money, yes.
Brother, I don't think you understand. I got a loaded weapon. I need the money now. Yes, it's hard. Yes, money. Money is difficult, yes. He goes, man, if you don't put this money in the bag, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, yes, you want a cigarette? Hey, give him a cigarette. You want to smoke? But by the time they're done having a conversation, he's arrested. You know what I'm saying? It's just...
Aside from acting and producing, you're also a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some of your comedy.
Have you?
I have.
Yeah.
One in particular called What the Funny.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Which one now?
Tell us, how did you get involved with What the Funny?
A friend of mine, his name's Jahan Jones. He's a great filmmaker, great actor and comedian. He started working with What the Funny as a producer of their Vine channel. Mm-hmm. And he invited me to join the Vine team. Mm-hmm. And Vine are 6-second videos that people shoot and takes up a lot of time. And a lot of kids are on it. And they should be studying. They should be eating vitamins, but they're shooting Vine videos. Anyway. So we started shooting Vines, and Marlon Wayans, it's his website, and there's actually a show that was on TBS. It was called Funniest Wins. Mm-hmm. What the Funny was sponsoring that TV show. Mm-hmm. And so I got involved with the show, and I was involved with the website, and I started writing material for them, and writing Vines, and shooting Vines, and so that's how I got involved. It's great.
You're also a producer as well.
Yes, I am.
You are. And
I'm like, wait, am I? Yeah.
And you just produced Mentor as well.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Mentor is it's a web series that I wrote with a comedian named Jason Stewart, a very funny comedian, and it stars him and Alexandra Paul, who are both in the film Dirty. Mm-hmm. And it's about an older gay comedian who meets a younger straight comedian, and they become friends and start helping each other.
How did you come up with the concept for Mentor?
Well, actually, it's the relationship that I developed from meeting Jason Stewart, who's the main character in the web series. I met him at a what the hell was it? That was a one-man show. Okay. I met him at a one-man show, and I thought he was a good dude, and he seemed very friendly. And then I asked him for coffee. And this is when I first came out to LA, and I just wanted to meet people and network. So I met him, and we had coffee, and he thought I was into him. And it was very false assumptions. Okay. And so he kind of agreed to be friends with me, even though that I won't let him have sex with me. So we became friends. And through being friends, I started learning so much about him and about his life. And if you look at us on paper, we're two totally different people. Mm-hmm. You know, the life that he had and the life that I had were two totally different lives. And we were able to become friends. Mm-hmm. And a lot of, I would say, the binding, the thing that binded us together was comedy and acting. And so we thought of this idea to write a television show about ourselves. And so that's what Mentor's about.
Where are you from exactly?
I'm from Detroit.
And you have your ethnic background. Where are you? What are you?
I feel like there's an episode of Homeland right now. You're like, what are you? So what do you know about these bombs outside? My ethnicity is called Chaldean.
Okay, so can you tell our viewers a little bit about that? Have there been any difficulties as far as pursuing your career in acting and comedy with being Chaldean?
Well, being Chaldeans, pretty much we're Catholic Arabs from Iraq. I like to compare us to white running backs. There's not too many of us out there. Yeah, we're like straight theater majors. There's like 300 in the world, and so Chaldeans were. My family's from Iraq, and Chaldeans are the indigenous people of Babylon, and we're very similar to Assyrians. And I talk about this a lot. My family's from Iraq, but I was raised in Detroit. So my family left Iraq to start a life in Detroit. And I always felt that was a lateral move. They just... it is definitely a struggle because my parents, they don't really understand the business. They don't really understand the level of difficulty. And my dad's just like, you know, the movie with Denzel Washington, where he's like, boom, like killing people like this. Why can't you be in it? Just do it. I'm like, yeah, Dad, it's a process, and it's hard to get those auditions. Well, then don't do it. You know, like that's his like reasoning. You know, and I know they love me, and they just don't really understand the business. And a lot of Chaldeans for that reason, you won't see a lot of them pursuing a career in entertainment. A lot of my relatives are all doctors, lawyers, and very stable occupations.
I see.
But you know, it was difficult to leave my family. But the first time I got on the airplane was to come to California, and that was 3 years ago. And I'm really passionate about what I do, and I have no intentions of stopping. So.
What advice can you give anyone that's pursuing acting and comedy?
Both?
Either.
Man, I'd say you gotta be really talented, man, to do both. I mean, it ain't easy, you know?
Where can we find you? Where can we find you, social media-wise? How can viewers follow you?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Paul Elia123. That's my Twitter and Instagram handle. And Paul Elia, ELIA. It's on Facebook, Foursquare, Tumblr, Yelp, LinkedIn, Black People Meet. That's about it.
Well, thank you for being here, Paul.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks so much for joining us. Be with us next time for more of the best in the entertainment news business. I'm John Cox, and you've been watching City Beat Live.